Donald Trump is raging like an absolute maniac on his social media, posting photos like this with Jesus holding his shoulders as if it wasn't offensive enough for him to go into a purported black church, fill it with white MAGA people wearing the MAGA hat who are shouting his name in a place of worship. But here's how he's spending his time, posting AI generated Jesus holding his shoulder. Or how about this one, having the Constitution give him a hug? He's reposting this photo from Stephen CJ of himself hugging the preamble of the Constitution. May I just read for you the preamble of the Constitution just for a second so you know what it says? We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. It starts off with we the people, not I, Donald Trump. A more perfect union, meaning bring us together. Justice, not convicted felon. Domestic tranquility, not insurrection. Common defense, not supporting our enemies. The general welfare and securing the blessings of liberty, not taking away people's freedoms like MAGA wants to do. Donald Trump then posts this meme, 047, a picture of him, an AI picture of him looking like James Bond. I mean, this is what he's doing throughout the day. This is how unserious and unhinged this individual is, who also posts this. Now, compare what I read with the preamble of the United States Constitution to this post right here by Donald Trump. If a president does not have immunity, the court will be, quote, opening the floodgates to prosecuting former presidents. An opposing hostile party will be doing it for any reason, all of the time. Interesting, because that's never happened before. Maybe it's because you led an insurrection against our incredible country to try to topple our democracy and topple a free and fair election. Maybe it's because you stole nuclear secrets and you stole war plans and claim that they're your own personal property because you shipped them to Mar-a-Lago. Maybe it's because you made hush money payments to porn stars and tried to cover it up by falsifying business records. Maybe it's because you engaged in all of this criminality that no one before in that highest position of trust has ever engaged in. Donald Trump then reposts this from someone named @Boomoo. Happy Father's Day to you, sir, and we will do it again and more. Hashtag MAGA for the felon. Hashtag MAGA for the felon. I just want you to think about that for a second, that Donald Trump is posting on his social media hashtag MAGA for the felon. That's quite literally what they are running on. Now we can compare this to what President Biden is saying and posting. President Biden talks about remembering the beautiful souls who lost their lives at a black church on June 17, 2015. President Biden writes, even though the word of God was pierced by bullets in hate and rage 9 years ago today, the grace of this congregation remains a powerful testament to all Americans. And you know, when I was covering and exposing what Donald Trump did at that purported black church in Detroit by filling it with kind of white MAGA followers wearing the MAGA hats who were shouting his name in a place of worship and behaving so horrifically there, I didn't even make the connection that that was happening at the anniversary of the shooting. I'm making that connection now. President Biden posts, after a school shooting in Iowa that killed a student and a teacher, Donald Trump said, we have to get over it. Hell no, we don't have to get over it. We have to stop it. Also, I think this is important from President Biden's campaign account. President Biden appointed a historic number of black federal appeals court judges. Trump appointed 0. And you see the black appeals court judges appointed by President Biden. Black appeals court judges appointed by Trump, 0 out of 53 were black. Also, Donald Trump had 0 senior White House staff members who were black. But Donald Trump and the complicit media thinks if he goes into a Chick-fil-A and gets hugged by a MAGA operative, that shows that he cares about the black community. If Donald Trump believes that he could trick the black community, thinks he can go to Detroit, rent out a purported black church that's embroiled in litigation, bring white MAGA supporters there, and then just trick everybody. It's not going to work, Donald. It's not going to work. Hey, I'll be back to that report in just a second, but while I have you, I want to bring more attention to a topic I know the Meidas Mighty has been asking we talk more about, and that's the climate. Now, I know you've already heard plenty about Project 2025 and the threat it poses to American democracy, but have you heard about Project 2025's threat to the planet? And do you wonder why Trump keeps telling those bizarre stories like this at his rallies to try to turn people against electric vehicles? Here, play the clip.
Do I get electrocuted? If the boat is sinking, water goes over the battery, the boat is sinking. Do I stay on top of the boat and get electrocuted? Or do I jump over by the shark and not get electrocuted?
Look, Project 2025, led by the Heritage Foundation and Trump allies, aims to undo President Biden's climate and clean energy achievements. You know, I'm a data person, and unsurprisingly, when you actually look at the data, you quickly see that it's heavily backed by big oil. Of the 105 groups in Project 2025, nearly 2/3 have ties to the oil and gas industry, with over half receiving funding from it. Since 2020, these groups have received more than $50 million, with $7 million in 2022 alone. Key funders include the Sarah Skay Foundation, contributing nearly $17 million, and the Koch family network adding over $26 million. You literally have oil and gas industry lobbyists writing these plans in Project 2025. Look, we can't allow the progress we've all made to be rolled back. So I thought it was important to share this with you and that you share it with others. It's important we keep this conversation about the climate going. We'll continue to follow the money and, as always, follow the data. Now let's get back to our report. Thanks for watching. President Biden then posts the following, which is part of a $50 million ad buy around this powerful ad that I'm about to show you right now. President Biden writes, "Donald Trump is only out for himself. I'm fighting for the American people." Check out the new ad here. Play it.
In the courtroom, we see Donald Trump for who he is. He's been convicted of 34 felonies, found liable for sexual assault, and he committed financial fraud. Meanwhile, Joe Biden's been working, lowering healthcare costs and making big corporations pay their fair share. This election is between a convicted criminal who's only out for himself and a president who's fighting for your family.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
One of the things the Biden campaign account then posted was Mark Cuban's post, where Mark Cuban, billionaire, said, "I won't vote for anyone that doesn't believe climate change is real. I won't vote for anyone that doesn't believe climate change is real." And here is what the Biden-Harris campaign account posted as well. All the times Donald Trump said that climate change isn't really a thing. Play this clip.
Climate change is one of the greatest con jobs ever. It'll start getting cooler.
I wish science agreed with you.
Well, I don't think science knows, actually.
Is seeing this devastation though change your opinion at all on climate change, Mr. President?
No.
And by the way, I hope you've been appreciating the updates. We've been doing some climate change updates in our videos where we've been giving news about just some of the policies that are out there in the Biden administration. We talked about the Climate Corps. We talked about how Project 2025 has taken all this money from gas and oil industry, trying to undermine important environmental policies, and the great accomplishments President Biden has made on the climate. Also, take a look at the economy. The markets are just running at an incredible pace. There's records for the S&P and the NASDAQ. This is the 6th straight all-time record for the NASDAQ. Play this clip.
Developments here at the corner of Wall and Broad. We told you about these markets that just are running at an incredible pace. Records for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, 6 days going now for the NASDAQ technology, ruling the roost, as it were. Again, a lot of it based on optimism about earnings and a steady as she goes recovery.
But sorry, Donald, I know your stock has been tanking lately, because maybe if you lose $300 million over the last 3 months, like your company did, and only earned like $750,000 in revenue over that same period, maybe there are just some red flags there. And by the way, I think it is important to reflect on what happened 4 years ago to this day. Like, just let's think about where were we literally 4 years ago to this day. Donald Trump was asked, so COVID cases are rising in 22 states. Are you worried about people getting sick? Donald Trump's response, play the clip.
Coronavirus cases are rising in 22 states, including Oklahoma, where you plan to hold a big rally this week. Aren't you worried about people getting sick?
No, because if you look, the numbers are very minuscule compared to what it was. It's dying out. By the way, we're doing very well in vaccines and therapeutics also. I think there's going to be some big announcements on that in the not too distant future. But no, we're not concerned. Actually, Oklahoma has had a very low rate, relatively speaking. It is a little spike, a small spike for a specific reason. But no, we had over 1 million people.
I want to show you this as well. MSNBC played a montage of Republicans who are now endorsing Trump, saying what they really felt about him before he broke the Republican Party and turned it into a cult that they're members of. Here, play the clip.
We're on the verge of having someone take over the conservative movement and the Republican Party who's a con artist.
Donald, you're a sniveling coward, and leave Heidi the hell alone.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
All I can say is count me out. Enough is enough. I've tried to be helpful.
We were really trying hard to figure out how do we hold a president accountable that put all of our lives at risk.
There's no question, none, that President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day.
Let me show you here the Biden-Harris Communications Director, Michael Tyler. Here's what he had to say. Play the clip.
Well, listen, I think you do it by running this campaign, right? Every single day, talking about the work that the president has actually done since he took office and the historic record of accomplishment. 15 million jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, and talking about the work that the president continues to do. Costs for Americans, right? The $35 cap on insulin for our seniors, the work that he wants to do in a second term to expand that cap for everybody. A fairer tax code, making sure that as we move forward that no billionaire pays less in taxes than a school teacher or a nurse, and making sure that people understand everything that Donald Trump is talking about would only worsen the gap between the ultra wealthy and the rest of us. That's the choice that the American people are going to see on the stage in Atlanta, and that we're going to continue to hammer home for the rest of this campaign.
So, wow, they're actually talking about, I don't know, policy. They're not posting photos of the Constitution, like humping Donald Trump. They're not showing AI images of Jesus on Donald Trump's shoulder, a convicted felon and adjudicated sexual assaulter's shoulders. They're not doing AI 007 images. You mean like they're talking about how to help American people lower prescription drug prices, expand healthcare coverage, increase people's wages, help our veterans, protect our seniors, safeguard Social Security, protect women's reproductive freedom. I mean, the Biden campaign's talking about issues and not posting memes of the Constitution hugging him? Oh, that's very novel. Very novel concept. Just so pathetic sometimes. Anyway, I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million together. We're almost there. Hit subscribe. It's free to subscribe. Have a wonderful day.
Enough! Send him to the big house, not the White House. Get the new exclusive tees, mugs, and stickers right now at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.